We will start with a short video. I think you can start the video now, Sanfana, because it's already okay. It's already 1:02.
So let's do that. Let's just warm up with Jivasu's introductory video to Somatofulness.
Juvasu, and I'm the founder of Somatofulness teachings and movement. The term Somatofulness comes from a Greek word soma, means body. And in Sanskrit language, soma means elixir of life. So Somatofulness is the full discovery of life energy in this body. A baby is born with fully active body and full life energy. But because of culture, education, emotional and mental trauma, life energy is blocked. A person is disconnected from the body, because of which there is a discontent and dissatisfaction with the life. There are emotional and mental health problems. The body is an extension of earth, nature, and the universe. So a person is separated from the earth and nature also, leading to the destruction of both. So Somatofulness is reconnecting to the body, to the life energy, unblocking it. Because as this life energy flows in this body, trauma is healed. We attain full emotional and mental health. And we live to our maximum with fulfillment. We are reconnected to the earth, nature, and the universe. And how that can be done? Through somatic practices and understanding our somatic personality with which we were born. And those somatic practices are somatic awareness, somatic poses, somatic movements, somatic breathing, somatic sounds and music, and somatic meditations. And not only that, Somatofulness helps us in resolving the daily problems of our life. The problem of love and relationship, emotional and mental health, aging and old age, death and dying, and also living with complete beauty. And finally, in this day and age of digital culture and artificial intelligence, we become the master of technology. So, Somatofulness is to live in this body with full energy. It is to return to the body, which leads to maximum living and fulfillment. Somatofulness is the experience of an awakened body and silent mind.
So, welcome everybody. It's a great pleasure to introduce Dr. Jivasu to the Basel IHCD group. You have all seen his introduction in the flyer. Dr. Jivasu is a physician, but also is very qualified in other areas like acupuncture. He has a degree in integrative medicine from Harvard Medical School. He's an author, and he has proposed a new hypothesis or approach to body-mind medicine. We are having this session at the request of several members to focus on mind-body medicine and integrative medicine and explore new methods to heal and manage trauma, mental health conditions, and the general stress that has especially intensified in the last couple of years. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Dr. Jivasu, and I'll just change the screen to, I think I have to exit, to speaker mode, except I can't seem to show.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that working, Salman?
It should be. No, but it's not. I don't see Dr. Jivasu because I think we just need to change to speaker mode.
I stopped sharing first the video.
Yep.
Then, okay.
That's right.
And then view speaker. And I think that has worked now.
Right. Thank you very much, Santuna, for this introduction through the video. And thanks for Salman Bhai, who invited me to speak on this forum. And greetings and welcome to the participants. We are going to start with a short breathing session for you to relax. Because as we know, the breathing causes stretch of lung receptors to stimulate vagus nerve to bring the relaxation. And also slow breathing helps in the dilatation of the blood vessels in the brain, which releases endorphins, one of the ways to relax and bring the sense of well-being. So a few minutes of slow and deep breathing. So please close your eyes softly. Relax your shoulders. Your hands and feet are soft. And you bring your gentle focus and attention to your breath. Feeling and watching as you inhale, as you exhale. It is the music of breath. Feeling and watching as you inhale and exhale. And now, the breathing becomes a little more slow, a little more deep, but gentle. You find your natural pace and rhythm to breathe slowly, deeply, and gently. Slow, deep inhalation, slow, deep exhalation. Your own pace your own natural rhythm. And relax in this deep breathing. And now, just relaxing. Breathing becomes normal and regular. And feel your body for any sensations and the state of mind. And then slowly opening the eyes. So welcome again. And I think we are going to record this session. So recording will be on. Thanks. Last 70 years were the years of miracle of medicine, unprecedented in human history. In these years, we achieved water and food hygiene, manufactured vaccines, discovered antiseptics, antibiotics, anesthetics, and many other life-saving drugs. There was dramatic improvement in surgery. And the result was that either we control or eliminated many killer diseases and epidemics, such as smallpox, measles, AIDS, tuberculosis, leprosy, cholera, polio, and infant mortality, maternal mortality reduced significantly. Average life expectancy increased quite dramatically in some countries. In India, in 1947, the average life expectancy was 45, and now it is 70. In most of the rich countries, it is somewhere between 80 to 90. And this
march of the medicine will continue. It is going to be precision medicine in future. And that will be because of genome mapping, neurohormonal profile of an individual, and the drugs will be administered precisely to their location by various means, including nanotechnology. And this current COVID pandemic brought that achievement in focus. COVID became a mirror for humanity. In comparison of 1918 Spanish flu, although we cannot compare two pandemics, at that time the world population was 1.8 billion and the deaths were between 30 to 50 million. In current pandemic, world population is 7.8 billion and mortality less than 6 million. And vaccine was manufactured within 1 year. So it shows a very clear achievement, the most successful system of health and medicine ever, and that too on a mass scale. But this COVID pandemic also mirrored the problems. And those problems are threefold. Number one, emotional and mental health crises. Emotional and mental health problems were rising already. But during this pandemic, they are skyrocketing. Anxiety, despair, loneliness, depression, and even psychotic episode increased. And we don't have human or material resources to deal with them. It is a worldwide crisis. Number two problem, burden of the chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, heart problem, chronic cancers, autoimmune diseases, or degenerative diseases of the brain and the body. These are, some of them are lifestyle problems. And that is going to be a very big challenge because we are living for much longer period of time. And if we develop one of these chronic problems, that means we are going to stay with them for 20 to 30 years. No system can take the burden of such a massive scale of problems in such a big population. And the third problem is still in our health discourses, we don't talk about environment or nature. We are going through ecological crisis. But still individually or collectively, most of the time we don't connect. And certainly at personal level, we are not taking sufficient steps. So the question is, what we can do? And one of these solutions is integrative medicine. Integrative medicine is a combination of modern medicine with a lifestyle medicine or self-care medicine. That we can do individually something with our resources in body and mind. So precision medicine plus science-based self-care and lifestyle. And what are our goals in integrative medicine? Number one, that by self-care, by lifestyle, we want to give some control to the patient so they can manage a part of the healthcare and medicine by themselves. It will not only reduce the burdens on doctor, clinic, and systems, but actually it will empower individuals. Because when anybody is totally dependent on the system for their well-being, they feel helpless, learned helplessness, and then brings tremendous anxiety and despair. If individual can think or feel that I can take at least part of my health and well-being, they feel powerful, control, which brings very positive sense of well-being in their life. Number two, in context of emotional and mental health, we have tremendous wellness reserve in our body and mind. If we can access that wellness reserve, we develop tremendous resilience to face the stresses of life, both physical and mental. So that means with that stress, we are not going to fall sick mentally and emotionally. It is a simple fact of the brain and the body. Neurobiology, neurohormones, all those wonderful elixir of life in this body. Number three, I call it green self-care. That personally, in my care, if I can include less use of plastic, chemicals, avoid non-essential travel, not pollute the environment, not wasting energy or water. Because it is very clear, if I do that, sooner or later, it is going to come back to me in sickness and poor health. And this year, it showed all over the world, including in Canada. So how to do it? That is a question. First part is personality, and second, mind-body practices. In Somatofulness, which we teach, personality is number one importance. And why? We are born with our unique personality. No two grains of sand, two leaves on tree, two snowflakes can ever be the same, because that is the beauty of nature. So I'm born with this unique personality. If I understand this personality, knowing about mind and body, my emotions, I will align my lifestyle with that. And once I align my lifestyle with that, there is a less likelihood of becoming physically or mentally ill. But 80 to 90% people of the world, they work against their own personality because they don't have the knowledge. And we can understand our spouse, our relations. We can guide our children if we understand their personality. Because personality means not only preventing illnesses, but also living with creative passion and well-being. Because health doesn't mean absence of diseases. It is to live with thrill and excitement, with passion, with creativity. And this fact was brought in focus by a Harvard psychologist, Steven Pinker, who wrote a book about it after his research, Blank Slate. that we are not born as blank slate. And the second researcher, a cultural anthropologist from United States, Helen Fisher, who worked for 40 years on neurochemistry of romantic love. And she came out with her own personality study based on neurohormonal profile. All ancient system of healing, they talked about personality because that brings the precision self-care. But in our practice, in our teaching, we adopt it from Ayurveda. Ayurveda is 3,000 years old, and they start with personality diagnosis. Why we adopted Ayurveda? Because Ayurveda not only tells about our personality, it guides us how much to sleep or eat or exercise. What kind of work is good? What kind of clothes, home, relationship, all that guidance. And that is how actually I came to mind-body medicine when I was not very well. In my 39th year, I stumbled upon it. And that changed my life. At the age of 40, I regained my health. So I always say I was born at the age of 40. Although I'm 65, but actually I feel I'm 25 years old and so much to do because 25 years old dreams a lot. So I feel until the last day on my deathbed, I will continue to work. So that is the beauty of personality, number one. Number two, practice part. Disease problem means our body and mind are conditioned in a particular way. But we can decondition them. So we can reverse the whole disease and illness process. All practices, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, interoception, breathing, they are not metaphysical, they are not mystical. They all depend on the neurobiology of this body. They are all physical and natural. Of course, a lot of people gave them a mystical kind of hue, created a mystery. And it was the Robert Eder, a great pharmacologist in 1960, University of Rochester, who first time showed that our immune system can be conditioned. But the great news was it can be deconditioned also. And with that was born mind-body medicine or psycho-neuro-immuno-endocrinology. That my thoughts and emotions, they can condition my whole body, my whole system, but we can decondition them. So another great pharmacologist from United States, Candace Pert, she first time showed how our emotions and thought condition the body through neuropeptides. And she wrote a marvelous book, Molecules of Emotions. And then came Richard Davidson, who showed in Tibetan monks that by meditation and mindfulness, our prefrontal cortex will be enlarged. Left one particularly, which is connected with love, compassion, positive emotion, and well-being. Then came John Kabat-Zinn, lot of mindfulness research in chronic pain, in anxiety and depression. And then yoga. Many yogic research showed that how it can bring actually the homeostasis in the body. Homeostasis is dynamic balance. And it works through the peripheral nervous system, autonomic nervous system, and hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And then finally now, a new science is emerging. It is called interoception. And that is one of the main research focus of neurosciences all over the world. What is interoception? Interoception is the sensory perception of my body. All these sensations which are going on in my viscera, in my joint, in my muscles. If we become aware, it will establish an excellent feedback loop which can relieve us from eating disorder, help in autism, PTSD, anxiety, as well as many physical health problems. And the beauty is they all work on the largest pharmacy ever created in this universe. Nature took 3.8 billion years to create this pharmacy. And where is that pharmacy? It is in my brain and the body. Those wonderful wines I call, there is a whole tavern, there is a whole bar in this body and brain in the form of dopamine, serotonin, DMT, melatonin, endorphins, glutamate, GABA, substance P, anandamide, all those constantly flowing, but our access is cut. We cannot access it. So by personality in integrative medicine, through these tools, we are able to access. Because the whole idea of life is not only not to have physical and mental and emotional health problem, but also live in a creative, in a happy way. Because health is not the absence of prevention of the diseases, is a positive sense of well-being. So at the age of 70, when I look back, I can say, yes, I lived my life to fullest. That is the idea of integrative medicine. Some people call it enlightenment, but that is a wrong term. We mystify it. It is all about body, it's neurobiology, it's neurochemistry. Those molecules of excellence in all sphere are in this body. That is why what we teach is called somatofulness, return to the body. And that is the goal of integrative medicine. And I will conclude it by a line, actually 3 lines, and one of the line is borrowed from a book which is 3,000 years old. It is in Sanskrit. And it is Jivem Shardeshat Anand Shardeshat Purnam Shardeshat. What is the meaning? I want to live for more than 100 years. I want to live for more than 100 years. But how I want to live for more than 100 years? With joy, with happiness and well-being. How I want to live for more than 100 years? With sense of fulfillment and completeness. So when I come to the end of my life, I look back, I say, yes, yes, I lived and I am ready to die. So integrative medicine is not only about the fulfilled life, it is about when our end comes, we fully accept it. And that is the very much part of our neurobiology. And that is what we achieve through integrative medicine. With that, I will stop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jivasu, for this very esoteric talk that covered so many complex topics, and for grounding it so much in the scientific developments, that brought us to this stage of understanding interoception, thinking about neuroimmunobiology, and so on. I'd like to kick off with what you...
I think we will request Varun to please mute.
Yes, I sent him a text. I don't know if he can hear us.
Because there was a lot.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize until.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'd like to kick off, Dr. Jivasu, because I think with a question about aging and illness, because I think what is really quite amazing is the verse on which you ended, that I want to live to 100 years with full health and strength, which is not something that I think most average human beings expect. We expect that by 60 or 65, we will retire and our productivity will decline. So can you shed some light on that? Do you think that we can live with greater productivity or equal productivity to our 20s and 30s and 40s if we follow some practices like this? And what these practices are?
Yes. 80 to 90% people of the world, they don't live their natural, authentic life. It is because of the family, culture, society. They are compelled to get education or take a job which will help them to compete with the rest. So they sort of leave their dreams or their real personality. But once we cross 60 or 65, this is the time to bring those dreams back if it is possible. And if you study brain, in aging, we have a holistic brain. A young brain is very sharp cognitively, but an aging brain is holistic. And what that means, as we age, we lose brain cells, but our brain cells are more connected with each other. Our perception is more holistic. There are so many models were created. So we think in a wholesome way. So this is the time when we say, okay, for 60 or 65 years, I did for my family, for my society, for my culture, for my parents, and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to dance my own dance. I want to celebrate life. And actually, brain is ready for this. So we go again, the same principle into our personality, gradually discover it, which is not difficult at all, and take some of these practices about which I talked. This is called third stage of life. So in India, we divided life into the student life, householder life, and this is called Vanprastha, wandering, explorer, adventure, because we fulfill all our responsibilities. So our brain is ready. So this is the right time. In my family, I saw my father doing the same thing. So much responsibility. Family was poor until the age of 65. He couldn't do anything. At 65, he said, now I'm going to proceed with my own life. He became a writer and a teacher. He's 88, living so serenely. And whenever we talk also about death. He said, well, whenever it comes, I'm done. Although he is very active and he will continue. So aging is not an obstacle. It is our mindset. Because most people, they can't fulfill themselves when they were young. This is the time. Third stage called Vanprastha.
Thank you. That was a wonderful answer. Does anyone else have any questions?
Thank you so much. If I may just kick off a couple of thoughts, Dr. Jivasu, thank you so much for an enlightening talk. And I've actually often wondered, here I'm taking a kind of a rational approach, if we are living actually longer than our bodies are meant to live. I'm not sure. I don't have the answer. I know that I will work till I'm 100, but that's something that Sanfana, you know, and Andre, you know. But I sometimes wonder if we are living longer than we're supposed to live.
Actually, that is not possible. Because our body and brain, they have the potential. Unless there is a potential, we cannot live longer. Because no matter what we do, it is again accessing the potential in the body and the brain. It was already there. But because of the infection, stresses of life, problem of nutrition, there were multiple factors. I'm pretty sure that 100 years ago, people thought that, listen, 40 or 45 is a good age. Or later on, they said 60. Because they thought, that is how it is. Because everybody was more or less dying in the same way. But now if somebody dies at the age of 70, in Canada, they say, died young. I'm sure after 50 years, the criteria will be, he died at the age of 100, died young. Because this body and brain have that potential, and technology is actually accessing that potential. Because technology is my extension of my mind.
Yep. I have a mentor, if I may just very quickly, and perhaps also then ask other colleagues to also ask questions. But I have a mentor who's now 90, and from John, I keep on learning virtually on a weekly basis that one way to beat old age is to keep on learning new things. Now, you did not talk so much about that in your talk. What are your thoughts on that? One of the things, for instance, that we found out is that when we had two sets of people, one of them was studying philosophy, elderly people, other one was not. And the ones who were studying philosophy, these are over the age of 60, by the way, all of them, they had much sharper brains and they had less evidence of dementia. Now, whether there's a correlation or not, it's not scientific, but perhaps there is. And so what are your thoughts on, what we talk about when we refer to lifelong learning?
That's right. You are very right, external learning, but I mentioned another kind of learning. The most beautiful book to study and read is the book of my own life. We can amass tremendous knowledge, but little we know about our own body and mind. And that is where we go into personality, because there is a whole universe in this body and brain. Once we start accessing, it will open the doors to all kind of learning. And that learning will be in harmony with my body and brain. So I totally agree that external learning, but even more than external learning, is self-learning, self-knowledge, self-study. Some people call it spirituality, but it's not about spirituality at all. Because once, and that is the whole focus of interoception, because it will open the door. This body will connect to the nature, to everything, human beings, even non-living thing. So external learning, totally agree. But internal learning, even more important. Because I will take that internal learning to my deathbed. So I won't die. I learned everything, because in those moments, only one thing will remain. I with myself. So both have to go hand in hand. But thank you very much for bringing that.
Thank you, Dr. Jivasu. I see a question from Tiziana, and then Martin, and then there is one from Keltai. I don't know if I'm pronounced that as an acronym, I know. Please, Tiziana.
Thank you so much. I don't even know where to start, so I just go with the flow. I have started meditating probably 4 years ago, transcendental meditation, and that was one probably of the key transformational points of my life. Because I did it because I was really stressed, and I wanted to create some headspace, just that. And then a couple of years afterwards, I started to have questions like, what do I want to do in life? How can I gain more insights without working more? How does my brain work? How do I make sense of what I see, read, hear, etc.? And then with a question like that, I started to have answers. And this was like a spiral, like a positive spiral, and therefore which increased my confidence, increased my potential, increased my intuitions, etc. Probably the thing that I'm stuck right now is still on the level of my purpose. What you said earlier was, you touched a point on that, right? On the fact that we lead towards our purpose of being happy in life, etc. And this goes with some courage to let go our fears. And this is probably like a very hard thing to do for me, because we have fears at all levels. Fears of feeling guilt with our children if we go to like the cinema one night. Too much broader things, right? So what is your suggestion on that? That would be the first question. Sorry, I have two more, but I don't know. Then you can choose which one of them. The second is, I'm so passionate about this topic, and yet I have been in pharma for the last 17 years. And I believe in medicine, I believe in what we can do for health in general. But in developing the ideas that you've mentioned, which I also believe very much so, I'm losing track of what actually medicine can do. Because it's like so punctual, so logic, so targeted towards like a certain bug or a certain thing, and therefore I'm not. I'm losing sight of what is science all about. If what it really is, the fundamental truth is that we kind of own the way that we shape our body, we own our own kind of body, right? So our mind owns our own body, and we can do something about it. And therefore, medicine like loses his meaning, losing his touch. So I also wanted to understand a little bit more about that. Third, very more practical question is, you said about autism earlier. And I have an autistic nephew. And he doesn't talk, he doesn't really understand. Took like the family the entire time, like a lot of time to actually teach him to sort of verbalize what he wanted. In that sense, I don't understand how he can go through the journey that you have mentioned in order to auto and self-help himself in increasing his benefit in life. That's right. It. You can answer to one of them.
Yeah. I think I will answer the response to the first question very quickly. How I find the purpose and meaning in my life, that is already embedded in your personality, which is a result of genetics and epigenetics. You have the blueprint of your destiny, and I'm not talking anything mystical again. But that life story of mine with which I was born is lost in the cacophony of the world and the culture and the religion and the family. And idea is, once you dive into it, you will find it. Precisely that is how I found it at the age of 40. So it is not something outside me, it is within me. But once we get educated, children, we become adult, slowly our own story is lost. All other stories dominate. Personality, that is why I emphasize, is the clue. And you dive deeper into it, it will unfold. Right. Okay. The question from the next.
Martin, why don't you go?
Thank you, Sampana. Thank you, Dr. Jivasu, for this amazing talk. amazing how you can feel so inspired on a Tuesday after lunch. What I wanted to ask you was, do you think that there was a connection, or is there even, is that also your impression that there's a shift going on where people are perhaps more aware of their mind's body awareness, just because of there is a growing awareness also about the climate, nature, the importance of planet Earth, that people automatically start going inwards with that raised awareness? Is that something you experience as well in your daily life, your daily practice?
Yes. The reason being, any new awareness evolves after a shock. If there is no shock, why I should change? Everything is moving fantastic. I'm living happily or not happily. There is no desire to change. If you really look any individual, unless there is a little bit trauma or shock, they are not awakened. Because we live a very sleepy existence. We get educated, we get job, we get children, we get promotion, we have $1 million or $2 million, and life is finished. That is how most people live. But when shock comes, okay, I must look around. And that is why pandemic brought the mirror to the humanity. And all these crises, evolution only moves forward with crises. So yes, it is world over, and we have to see how much impact it will have. But you very rightly said, yes, because of these changes and shock, we are moving into positive evolution. For me, future of humanity is bright. But evolution causes pain, but it causes also new dimensions. We have to go through pain. There is no. When the child is born, mother has to go through tremendous birthing pain. So it is.
Thank you, Dr. Jivasu. Kelty, I'm sorry if I mispronounced.
Yeah. Sorry, it's actually Taya Santana. Hi, Taya Kelty. It's just the Novartis thing there. So anyway, so thank you so much, Dr. Jivasu. Fascinating what you're talking about. I am a neurobiologist by training, coincidentally, at Harvard. So I have a couple of quick questions if you could maybe address. So roughly 20 years ago, you may be familiar with Steve Hyman's group at Harvard. We started this body-mind connection seminar. It was a big thing, but it didn't go anywhere for probably the reasons that many people understand very well, precisely because all of us eventually reverted to our narrow disciplines and just we just tried to tackle it, didn't work. Now my question to you is, I mean, since then, so many efforts have been taken everywhere in the world. But what I'm observing is very often it either goes again back to these very well-defined disciplines that are very hard, what Tiziana mentioned, this kind of very targeted molecular traditional medicine and science, or it just has this air of this new agey thing and then it just loses credibility, right? So my question to you is, if one were to really kind of study, do research, follow this interoception, I wasn't aware of this, are there any, I don't know, new schools, research institutes, groups that are really earnestly are taking these two approaches, hardcore science and whatever you want to call it, metaphysics, mindfulness, I don't know what to call it, but really, really marry those and study them, you know, using the experiment-based traditional method from physics and biology and everything that we've so far learned, and those softer ancient knowledge-based things. Is there any group, any, I don't know, any institute, any effort that you are familiar with? Because I would like to be connected with them.
Right. Actually, I'm not. And you are very right, because there are these two poles. So one is talking about molecular biology and very fine details about neurochemistry. On other side, they are going into all kind of airy-fairy, mystical and universal. But any group actually uniting them very concretely I don't think, but research in interoception is perhaps an exception, and it is based on the work of Antonio Damasio. I'm not sure you are familiar.
I know him very well, yes.
Yes,
Of course.
A marvelous guy, because the beauty of Antonio Damasio's life is he's combining philosophy and science, because he's a professor of philosophy also. So I was following his work. He was the one, and interoception is based on his research work.
Oh, okay. That's very promising.
Yes. And in fact, I will indicate a marvelous article published in Guardian newspaper in UK, and that gives synopsis, or I can send you actually some of the reference material, which is very easy to read. I will send to Santana. That will give you a panoramic view of this interoception, very promising branch of neuroscience.
Yes, we will do that. Thank you, Tia, for that wonderful question. I think we have time for Aga to ask the last question, and then either Andrew or Salman, if you could close the talk, I'd be really honored. So Aga, why don't you?
I had a very similar question to the previous question, since I'm also a scientist and I'm also practitioner of mindfulness in a school of Vipassana, or also in a school of John Kabat-Zinn. And this journey started for me when I was living in Singapore. And I must say that this is something that I know there's some sort of fragmented research on that, and so, but I was curious because you mentioned a couple of times about this knowing your personality. And I'm not sure what type of personality you're exactly referring to, if there's any type of tool to assess yourself, because I will be very keen to go deeper into that. Because I love to kind of doing sometimes this introspective kind of journey inside of myself to build further on better relationships with people, because quality of relationships ultimately make us really happy and improve the quality of our lives. That's what I kind of observed during my journey, and I would love to know about those personality types that you actually mentioned during your talk and highlighted a couple of times in your answers.
Right. Yes, because in our Somatofulness teaching, without personality, no program is complete. Of course, it comes from Ayurveda, but there are 3 types of personality, and everybody has the mixture of these 3 personality, which we are connecting to Helen Fisher's work, which is based more on neurohormones. So yes, because so there is a sort of psychological part to it and neurobiological part to it. But I think it can be explored in more details. I think Santana is going to pose some questionnaire, because there are 2 ways to do it. Either we can start a baby step with a questionnaire, or we become self-observant, the way we eat, the way we talk, the way we react to the world, and we will get slowly the clue what kind of person I am. So these are the 2. I call it the first one questionnaire, and second one is somatic awareness. So by awareness, slowly I discover what kind of person I am. Most of us are not actually aware of it. We just act and we are not conscious, which of course mindfulness teaches. So those are the 2 ways. So in the future, if you want to explore further, I think connecting to Santana will be great, because there's plenty of material with her. So no problem.
Thank you, Dr. Jivasu.
Thank you so much.
Salman or Andrew, would one of you want to?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I mean, I think it's quite a fitting end to this year. It has been a very hectic year for most of us, and I think it's a time to, as the year comes to a close very quickly, it's time to reflect on, what is the purpose of us being here. So thank you so much for taking time out to reflect on that, Dr. Jivasu. We will be posting a number of things, not on the WhatsApp, Santana, but on the LinkedIn group, publications and some videos also, so that people can access it from there. The only thing for me to say is, thank you so much once again to to our colleague Andre for making this session possible. Thank you so much, Andre. And we keep on misusing your Zoom facility. Next time, I think, Martin, we will misuse your Zoom facility also. Martin has also offered his Zoom facility. The only last thing that I'd like to mention is that next week, we haven't announced it yet, but it will be hopefully going out today on WhatsApp. We have on the 16th of December, we have actually our virtual networking apero, Christmas apero. We will do it all virtually, unfortunately, but it should be fun, and you will hear more about that in the next day or two. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much, Dr. Jivasu, on behalf of Basel HCD, for taking time off and getting up so early in the morning to come and talk to us. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Salman Bhai, I'm so grateful you invited me to speak about the topic, because that is what I do and live 24 hours.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. So thank you very much, everybody. And you have a good afternoon, good morning. Bye-bye. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for attending.
Thank you.
Dr. Jivasu.
Everyone.
Thank you.